Growing up, we all go through phases of interest. Sometimes it's for a few weeks, few months, maybe even years. Hell, there are some people who still have not grown out of their childhood obsessions. Exhibit A. I had many phases growing up, and one of the more predominant ones, beyond dinosaurs, was big rigs. I love Monster Jam, I love trucks, I love anything that had John Deere or Cat on it. And above all else, the main contender was Thomas the Tank Engine. For the longest time as a toddler, and probably to second grade, I would think, maybe a little earlier than that, I was obsessed with Thomas, and it was my favorite show. According to my folks, I apparently had to be bribed to behave when going to the store with the promise of a brand new wooden train. Of which I still have every single one of. Look at all of these. Oh, I can still smell the wooden paint. Look at the bastard. He's beaten up. He got a lot of play. Oh, I forgot about this weirdo. What's his name? Coldy. It looks fine. It looks fine. Then you turn him around and he's got another face on him. I don't know why. These are my twains. These are my toy twains. They're gonna stay back there for the rest of the video now. My point is, though, if I haven't made it abundantly clear, I loved Thomas a lot. And I was lucky enough to grow up at a time before the CGI abominations took over the entire IP and whatever the hell they're doing now. I honestly have no clue what the hell this is. I saw it when I was searching for images for this, and I feel so bad for children today. However, I did also grow up with the less than stellar movie, The Magic Railroad. This came out before I was a sentient creature, but I do remember having it as a part of my collection of anything Thomas. However, one of my earliest memories of this movie is that I did not like it very much compared to the actual show itself. And then when I watched this again for the video, I remembered why, because this movie is bad. I know I try to say this is my opinion, form your own. This movie was a big box office flop. With an estimated budget of $19 million, it only earned $19.7 million. Earning only $0.7 million more than you put into a film is not good. It was such a catastrophe that the CEO of the company that originally made the TV series stepped down, and then they rebranded everything before being bought out by Hit Entertainment. And it's not hard to see why, because they botched any semblance of a coherent narrative in this, also bastardizing what people actually liked about the show. As a Thomas stan, I must have been offended before I even knew the word. And now as someone who used to be a Thomas stan, I am still offended that something this bad was ever greenlit and put to press. And it does something I don't think has been done with the IP prior to this movie, and even for a time afterwards, which is having the trains talk themselves. You see, the original show was narrated, and this is probably because the IP is actually based off of children's books, so the idea is that you are being read one of the stories each episode, just having moving visuals instead of regular pictures. But it's not the only thing this movie adds to the narrative of Thomas, because we also get live action actors, magic, long lost lore, motivations of characters being completely changed, and a fucking multiverse. I wasn't in the room making the decisions of this project, but considering how ham-fisted this movie feels constantly, I'm gonna guess that everyone there was so hell-bent on trying to make a Thomas story work as a full-length movie that they just Botoxed the hell out of it until it no longer resembled anything that people love about the show. Now then, let's talk plot. So the movie starts by introducing us to the main character. Oh no, it's not Thomas though. Even though his name's on the frickin' packaging. No, it's actually Mr. Conductor, played by Alec Baldwin.
Hello, I'm Mr. Conductor.
I'm pretty sure Thomas only gets 14 total minutes of screen time in this entire movie. I could be wrong, but it feels that way. And that's a shame, because it's literally called Thomas and the Magic Railroad. Ah, there's the bloke. So far, this doesn't seem too far off from a regular Thomas story. We're introduced to the train, the island of Sodor, where all the vehicles are alive and have faces. But then Thomas talks, and all that feeling of nostalgia just melts away.
Hello! But he's running a little late today.
Like I said before, the original series was all narrated, so we never actually heard these characters talk for themselves, and therefore we couldn't really know what they actually sounded like. But Thomas never sounded like this in my headcanon. But maybe I'm just biased and I prefer the original narration from George Carlin. In case you don't know who George Carlin is, I want to show you a snippet of him narrating this show.
The fireman went to throw the switch. Now for my plan, thought Thomas. Bumping the cars fiercely, he jerked his driver off the footplate.
And then I want to show you a clip of his day job.
The rest of us have to watch these commercials on TV for Levi's loose-fitting jeans and fat-ass Docker pants. Because these degenerate, yuppie, boomer cocksuckers couldn't keep their hands off the croissants and the Haagen-Dazs. Fuck these boomers, fuck these yuppies, and fuck everybody now that I think of it.
This dude is my goddamn idol.
This is the island of Sodor, where Thomas and his friends live. It's at one end of my special universe.
So yeah, I wasn't joking about that multiverse thing. Mr. Conductor walks in two different worlds, the world of Thomas and friends, and our world, if you really want to call it that. But he mentions how Sir Topham Hatt, the railroad director of Sodor, who keeps everything and everyone at the railway in check, is on vacation, and he asks Alec to babysit. News to me, since his ass was never mentioned once in all the episodes I watched growing up. Interesting. But we catch up with Thomas again, and he stops and chats with Gordon, who, if you don't know, is a grade-A twat.
But you weren't on time, little Thomas.
And you're being bossy, Gordon.
Yeah, get him, Thomas. I also want to mention real quick, and I don't know if it's just my copy of this, but all the VO sounds like it was recorded in a broom closet. Other parts of the audio are fine. When the actors are talking, like, in regular scenes, the music sounds fine, sound effects sounds fine, but the VO parts sound really hollow and a bit over-processed at times, like they're trying to correct a lot of reverb. It might just be my copy, or at least I hope so, because if every single version of this film that came out sounds like this, oh. But anyways, Thomas and Gordon are talking, and then some bullshit comes plowing through.
Get out of my way! I have unfinished business here! I want to finish it fast! The Diesel 10's back!
Did he just shit on them? It's fucking gross, man. So that is Diesel 10, and this lore I remember because I watched the Calling All Engines special so much growing up. So on the island of Sodor, the steam engines and the diesel trains do not get along very much. Not sure if it counts as a turf war or racism in this world, and frankly, I don't care enough to find out. Leave it in the comments below. But Diesel 10 here is the biggest diesel on Sodor, and apparently he has a bunch of backstory.
The blast from the past, who hates steam engines.
But all of it was made up for the sake of this film because we have never seen him before this movie came out. And at least through season 8, he barely shows up again, and when he does, he is silent, so he's not telling anyone what the hell his story is. So I really don't know what Gordon means by Diesel 10 is back, because to us, this is the first time he's ever existed. Anyways, now we have to take a little field trip to where Mr. Conductor is currently living. Our world. We arrive at this town called Shining Time. Stupid name for a fucking town. That's such a dumb name. But it made me curious to see if such a place exists, and I found something groundbreaking. So if you look up Shining Time, you're gonna get children's television series, 1 season. So there's a television series called Shining Time Station. You give it a little bit more of a look. Creators, Britt Alcroft, as in the Alcroft Company, the same company that made Thomas and Friends, as well as the very movie we're going to be talking about today. And it gets even better, because remember how I mentioned George Carlin? He's a cast member in this show. And look who he plays, a character called Mr. fucking Conductor. You basically had to watch Thomas and Friends and Shining Time Station to understand what the hell's going on in this movie, and frankly, it doesn't actually clarify much. Personally, I'm the most upset about the fact that they recasted George Carlin. When this movie came out, he was 8 years from death, but he was still sharp as hell.
Let's say God gave us these rights. Why would he give us a certain number of rights? The Bill of Rights in this country has 10 stipulations, okay? 10 rights. And apparently God was doing sloppy work that week because we've had to amend the Bill of Rights an additional 17 times. So God forgot a couple of things like slavery. Just fucking slipped his mind.
But yeah, we get our tour of the station and how magic is real, and Alec Baldwin is basically the Tinkerbell of boys. Everyone here, though, is the pinnacle of the early 2000s aesthetic, where you have the neon clothes and the bright hair colors, and oh my god, white woman with dreadlocks!
And by the way, I think that you're going to help me and Thomas somewhere in this story.
Huh? Moi? No. You're supposed to be telling us a story. We have no influence on what's about to happen. Even though I really wish I did.
Sandal fly, boot fly, shoe fly, that's it.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is most likely the reason toddler me hated this movie. James was my favorite growing up, with no close contenders, and they ruined him. Background check. James is obsessed with being awesome, and more importantly, looking awesome. His shiny red coat is what he cares the most about in life, and it must remain preserved at all times or else he loses his mind. Frankly, it has nothing to do with the voice actor being a woman, because Tara Strong, Sarah Natachny, and fucking Miley Flanagan have proven that estrogen cannot stop you from sounding like a dude if you put the work in. But Thomas visits James before going to pick up Alec, and Diesel 10 comes back around and just starts talking shit.
I've come back to find a lost steam engine.
What?
I'm gonna destroy her and dominate you. And then you'll be nothing but useless scrap.
So he's out for revenge, on a train we've never heard of, and he's only saying this now because we've never met the bastard before. You see how we have to be constantly spoon-fed? No. Shovel-fed? The entire secret lore, every single chance they can muster, all because they didn't want to do some kind of setup or like a Spark Notes thing at the beginning of the movie. Contrary to popular belief, kids aren't dumb. A kid that watches the show a lot is gonna pick up on patterns. That's why a lot of kids shows seem repetitive in nature, to build up pattern recognition. This movie, though, takes those patterns from the Thomas show, puts it into an industrial shredder 3 times over, then tries to piece it together again like the world's shittiest jigsaw puzzle. Because right now, James is our unintentional audience surrogate.
You won't dominate us, and you won't destroy her. We won't let you. Neither will Mr. Conductor. I'm off to fetch him now.
What lost engine?
That has been me, watching this now, and this was also me watching it 20 years ago. I feel geriatric now. Back in Shining Time, we meet a kid named Patch who looks a lot like Frank Gallagher, but one who's dressed like a punk and rides a horse around. He then asks this guy, Billy, who drives a train around these parts, about weird lines on a map he borrowed from him.
What are these mysterious shadowy lines doing on it? They look like straight railroad tracks, but I can't see any tracks around here except for the ones that you travel on.
It's mystery.
Broski, that face you make makes me think you know a whole lot more than you're letting on, and you're just being hush-hush for whatever stupid reason. They then talk about this guy named Burnett Stone, who's basically some mountain hermit that Patch helps out from time to time with chores.
I didn't know that in Muffle Mountain there was a secret that Burnett had shared only with his childhood friend, Tasha.
Should you have? You two friends or something? I doubt it. Also, who the hell's Tasha? I hope we can find out soon and learn that she's actually a super important character.
This engine was vital to the magic that held these worlds together.
Whoa, would you look at that? We found the lost steam engine. Movie over, right? Right? You throw out this mysterious steam engine and how Diesel 10 is trying to find her, and then barely 5 minutes later you go, here it is! Now the rest of the movie isn't about finding the engine, it's everyone else figuring it out for themselves. How is that an appealing concept of a story? Why couldn't this have been like a reveal later with Burnett being all secretive and weird, then to reveal that he had the answers all along, but he was trying to protect the train or something? Anything to build up a background for this lore would automatically make this more digestible. Back at the station, this chick Stacy, who, by the way, same lady and actress who show up in Shining Time Station, shows Billy an old picture that Burnett drew as a child. And then it immediately cuts back to Burnett with the train. This is all over the place. I think the editors had like ADHD or something. We were just with him. Why'd we have to do a cutaway? Patchton finds him in his dungeon, and Burnett reveals that this place is basically a workshop for the train. Sorry, not the train.
This engine's name is Lady.
This guy is so fucking weird. And I'm a big supporter of being weird. But this guy's not okay in the head. Bro is standing in the dark with just a flashlight to look at the train, just to reveal to us that the room has lights and he decided to not turn them on. And the way that he goes,
This engine's name is Lady.
is just, it sounds a bit sensual. And it makes me really uncomfortable.
Long ago, I made a mistake as Lady's caretaker. An evil diesel found Lady and threatened to destroy her. He used up all her coal. He made her go too fast, and I brought her here. I tried my best to fix her up, but I've never been able to make up for the mistake I made. And I've never been able to bring her to life, to make her steam.
We are just over 10 minutes in, folks. And even with all this lore vomit, we still have the answers to nothing. Why did Diesel threaten her? What did she do to make him want to seek revenge on her? How did she lose all her energy in Sodor and then get transported into another universe's mountain cave without anyone noticing? Back in Sodor, Diesel 10 enlists the help of 2 other diesel engines, Splatter and Dodge, but we don't really know what he wants them to do, nor does he further explain why he wants to destroy the lost engine, but we do get to see his claw thing smack him in the face, so that's funny, right? He does end up giving one bit of interesting information, though.
She escaped me once before. As long as she exists, so do the others.
So is this like a werewolf, vampire kind of thing? You know, where you kill the oldest one and all the ones that come after it cease to exist? Is that what they're trying to tell us here? What's that? Oh, it's actually just a random line that they throw in there just to pad the runtime? Interesting. Back in Shining Time, again, Alec is getting ready to head to Sodor.
Toolkit, check. Ticket puncher? Check.
Aye.
All aboard! Just testing, Billy.
They better have paid him good for this role because this is just agony. Anyways, he brags to Billy about how great Sodor is and that he's going to be in charge and keep Diesel 10 in check.
Sir Topham Hatt has given me a big responsibility. Diesel 10 is back, and I have to make sure that he behaves himself.
Yeah, fucking right, my guy. I'm not sure he realizes that he's basically the substitute teacher in this situation, but don't worry, he learns real soon. We then get even more lore dumping.
Where did you find this painting?
In an old locker. It was done by Burnett Stone when he was a child. You seem puzzled, Mr. Conductor.
Well, I am puzzled. This place looks like the island of Sodor, but how would Burnett Stone travel there without gold dust? Sparkle's been the only way to make the trip since the lost engine disappeared. Anyway.
It looks like a kid climbing a hill near railroad tracks, Alec. Nothing in that child's drawing is exclusive to the island of Sodor. There are other ways to convey backstory and drive a plot. And to go from that word vomit exposition just to say,
Anyway.
Come on, guys, have some sense of professionalism here. Anyways, Alec arrives in Sodor, and the lucky bastard gets to live my dream and take a ride in Thomas. He also mentions how his gold dust is acting weird and it's harder for him to travel back and forth. I hope that will become relevant later. Not sarcasm this time, because I cannot handle another loose end. I really hope this becomes relevant. We then cut back to Burnett Stone, and guys, I don't want to say it, but a grown-ass man playing with trains like that can only mean one thing. But I don't want to say it. I just wouldn't be surprised if he was also picky about what spoon he eats with because of mouthfeel and grip design. We also get some more background on Burnett's past, but I don't feel like showing it because this whole fucking movie just keeps throwing out backstory parallel to our main story, so it feels like you're watching 2 separate movies at the exact same time. And that's very overstimulating. And I know damn well Burnett here knows a thing about being overstimulated. I'm still not gonna say it though. If it were me, and this is just me riffing here, I would start this movie off with like a storybook intro to pay homage to the actual books that this is supposed to be based off of, where Burnett's reading the story to someone and they ask, oh, is that real? And he's like, well, a lot of things are happening in this weird world, and we learn, kind of show that he's holding a secret in. Later to find out that he was telling the truth. He was basically reading his autobiography. I feel like that would have been better at letting a lot of the lore in ahead of time so that we could sit in moments like these where the silence could be palpable to show his actual angst and his sadness and his grief for whatever. But we don't get to have that happen because all dead air in this needs to be filled with exposition. They don't let anything sit in silence at all. Just over 15 minutes in and we get another new character, Lily. And of course, in a kid's movie with magic, you gotta make sure Matilda's a part of it.
Grandpa's been so sad since Grandma Tasha died, and he never comes here to see us.
Okay, so now we're getting some answers here. Tasha was Burnett's wife, and they had one of Lily's parents. Not really sure we had to name drop Tasha if we're just gonna reveal that she's dead. Like, they mention her name a couple more times later on, but not in ways that move the plot along, so she's literally a phantom filler character. We also learn that Lily seems to be quirky like her grandpa. So that means whatever he has must be genetic. Interesting. Back in Sodor, James and Gordon are pissy that they weren't the ones to pick up Alec, and then Gordon turns it into a size contest.
James is right, little Thomas. Collecting Mr. Conductor is an important job. Important is big. James is a big engine. You, Thomas, are small. Small, tee-weeny-weeny.
They then talk about the lost engine, again, before cutting back to Alec trying to settle into Sir Topham Hatt's office. And by that, I mean try on his iconic hat. We then jump to bedtime at the shed where the 6 main engines sleep, and Alec, for some reason's just dicking around.
So who dropped the ball then? Oh, there you are. I'd like to have a nice cup of hot cocoa. Would you fellas care to join me? No? What would you rather do instead? Go outside and play? Well, I can understand that. What do you think? Why do you keep hitting him like that?
I'm convinced that half the time they just told Alec to do whatever felt right in the moment, and then they just kept all the nonsense. It's just fluff. It's funny, sure, but it's not relevant to the story other than I can't sleep. And just when he decides to actually hit the hay, some trouble comes a-knockin'.
Cinders and ashes, it's Diesel!
Hello, Twinkle Toes. I got a plan, and you're not in it. What is that?
That's right, it's sugar, Diesel. And if I throw this in your tank, it'll seize you up for good.
Surprisingly, not the scariest thing to happen in Thomas and Friends.
We shall take away your rails, he said, and leave you here until you're ready to come out of the tunnel. All Henry could do was to watch the trains rushing through the other tunnel.
I also never understood the whole sugar thing as a kid, so I looked it up for this video. Turns out that's just a myth. So, oops! Let's add some misinformation to the CinemaSins counter, shall we? I do love, though, that Alec basically threatened to poison and possibly kill Diesel 10. Like, talk about escalation. Diesel fucks off afterwards, and even with a giant hole in the wall, Alec goes to bed. But now he's panicking about his gold dust not working anymore, and he has a Terminator 2 style dream about shining time.
Mr. C, why aren't you here?
This then becomes his new mission, to figure out what's going on with his sparkle. I hate that so much. So Matilda ends up going directly to Shining Time because Billy, the train driver's dog, Mutt, is able to sense the looming danger from Diesel 10 like a goddamn psychic, and intercepts Matilda on her way to Muffle Mountain to see her train-obsessed grandfather, who apparently reads railroad romance novels in his free time. I think I'm on acid right now. What the fuck is happening? And why is this dude so obsessed with trains? Like, this is turning into an episode of My Strange Addiction at this point. Is this him researching how to make ladies steam again? Ugh! Bro, run, that's the fucking Wendigo. Just kidding, it's clearly a train whistle. Presumably from the train that isn't steaming, so not sure how it's actually making noise. Back in Sodor, Alex is looking for a windmill because his gold dust is all gone and his family apparently gave him a fucking riddle to get more.
I notice you left your thinking cap behind. Try these instead. They're good for the brain. Mountain? Fountain? That might be something. I think I'll try the celery. Toothpaste? Beach? Wait a minute. Beach.
So here's what I'm getting from all this right here. Not a single person in this film knows what they need to be doing about this whole magic railroad problem because they botched the narrative so badly that nothing makes a lick of sense. So divine intervention has to occur just for all the characters to figure it out and get to where they need to be by the end of the movie. Keep in mind, ChatGPT did not exist at this time, so only humans were cooking up this slop. So then Alec decides to phone a friend, and he gets his cousin Junior on the horn. Immediately you can tell he isn't going to be useful at all because bro is casually wasting gold dust like ones at a strip club. But Junior then heads to Shining Time and meets Matilda, who, for some reason, isn't freaking out to see a tiny man that vanishes into dust at the sound of a duck call.
See you, Lily.
Now there's your problem, Alec. You guys are just leaving that shit behind every time you travel. No wonder it's running out. So Matilda finally meets with her grandpa, who seems not at all pleased to see her. Back in Sodor again, the engines are at work and Thomas is being extra quirky.
And I'm collecting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trucks of special Island of Sodor coal.
And then something strange happens. Ooh, magic bumpers. How has no one noticed this before? But Thomas and Percy piece together that this must be the way to the Magic Railroad, and Thomas then elects Percy to go on guard duty so the Diesels don't find it. Percy ain't built like that, but whatever, the more I talk about this film, the less I care about anything that's happening. Somewhere else on the island, Diesel 10 then finds Alec and then tries to murder him.
Okay, Twinkle Toes. I know about the buffers.
So we just learned about the bumpers, and then we have a whole clip about how they gotta keep it a secret, and bros over here are already knowing this shit. What is even the point, guys? Like, the payoff shouldn't come immediately after the setup. But Alec pulls some pliers out of his arse and circumcises a bit of Diesel 10's arm, throwing him who knows how far into a windmill.
Did you put all this here for me? But you must have known that I was coming.
What the fuck is happening? Stop this! I don't like this game anymore! So Alec finds a clue in magic writing on the windmill and blah 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 blah. Back on Muffle Mountain, Patch meets Matilda and seems to try and make a move, but he has less game than Izuku Midoriya from My Hero Academia.
Bet you can't climb that tree.
What a loser, and it's honestly quite sad because we know it's just gonna get worse for him later on in life.
Oh, what are you? A tough guy, Steve? You think you're a fucking tough guy? Because you look like a premenstrual Filipino!
Now they are riding on Patch's horse. I don't care. I don't care. Bring back the trains! But Matilda's back in Shining Time Station and sees Junior again, who tells her about going to Sodor. He then offers to take her with him and she says, "Fuck yeah, Short King." I want this to be a lesson, folks. Just because he's a tiny magic man doesn't make him any less of a stranger. Do not do this. Plus, isn't the gold dust running out? So why are we wasting on a kid who does not need to go? Motherfuckers, I can see the fucking green screen. Come on. There is no way in hell they could not afford to make the CGI pristine in this, considering how much a single wooden train used to cost. Thomas then runs into Junior and Matilda though, and he is not happy. Same, Thomas.
Now, don't look so surprised. I know you haven't seen me since...
You stuffed party poppers down my funnel.
Hey, we had a laugh.
You did?
Yeesh, yeah, I can see where the hate comes from. Thomas gives the two a ride so they can all go looking for Alec, which they eventually find as he's just pouting at the windmill. Guess even with writing literally on the wall, he doesn't know what the writers want from him.
Hello.
Junior?
What?
Junior?
Junior?
Junior, what are you doing up there?
Sir, why are we doing this? Why must we climb the windmill when you're supposed to be figuring out how to not be trapped on an island with a murderous train? Junior's that impulsive little brother that your mom told you to bring along, and he's just getting himself into trouble the second you look away from him. And like said little brother, once you fuck around, it's not long before you find out.
Toes Jr.
Back at Muffle Mountain, Burnett is really sad that Matilda is now missing.
We'll find her. Don't worry.
And now we're back in Sodor after a 30-second scene. I am not exaggerating. This scene starts at 57:34 and it ends at 58:07. That is 33 seconds in between two segments that are in the same location just to insert a part of, oh, we can't find her, oh well. I don't even know how they expect kids to keep up with everything happening, because even with my frontal lobe near completion, I am barely able to track this, and all I'm getting for it is a headache. In Sodor, Percy is going to check on the area with the secret path and sees the Diesel Stooges are there talking about how Diesel 10 has been looking for these, even though he already said he knew about the... I can't. I need a fat minute right now. Jesus Christ. I'm calm now. Meanwhile, Matilda and Alec are sitting around a fire, and we get a fucking lost engine story again. Alec still has no clue what he's supposed to do about the riddle until Matilda brings up something she noticed.
I've heard a train whistle and it sounded like it was coming from the mountain.
I just remembered another part of the clue. Stoke up the magic in the mountain and the lady will smile. But we need more information, Lily.
Unless everyone who knows the story just happens to not know the name of this engine, I don't think you need that much more info, my guy. Okay. For the sake of my sanity, I'm going to start skipping shit, because I'm being 100% honest with you right now. The next part after this is just Patch piecing together the whole Magic Railroad thing, making it the umpteenth time this film took up time for a single character to put the whole fucking plot together. The next crucial part of the story happens where Alec is trying to figure out how to get Matilda back home, and then he has a temporary case of amnesia.
But how can Lily go without gold dust?
Only in the lost engine. Unless... Thomas, will you please take Lily?
You just fucking said only the lost engine can do that. Is Thomas now conveniently magic enough to do it without gold dust or being the lost engine? Is that it? Is this what we're doing? So Thomas takes Matilda to the buffer portal, and after being escorted by a talking tumbleweed...
Follow me, partner! Right this way to Bufferville, just a walk in the park!
They go through. They then do what Alec could not do and use the bare minimum amount of brain power to piece together the riddle, realizing the reason Burnett couldn't get the train to wake up is because he didn't have the special coal that comes from Sodor, so they go back and grab the coal car that Thomas accidentally bumped into the portal earlier and continue on. So just to be clear, this movie is now telling you that that coal car that Thomas bumped into accidentally, used to show where the railroad actually is now crucial to the plot of saving the magic engine. I think this movie was written by the very toddlers it is aimed for. But they get to the end of the railroad, which is just some cliff on Muffle Mountain. Matilda ditches Thomas to tell her grandpa about the coal, and Thomas then falls down the cliff and gets sucked into the ground. I hope he's okay. I really hope he's okay. I'm being sincere, what the fuck? Matilda meets with her grandpa, who is just ecstatic to see her again.
Grandpa!
Oh, Lily. I'm so glad to see you.
Buddy, you're not fooling anyone. You wanted more alone time with that fucking train. We then get some more insight on the weird dynamic Burnett has with said train.
Grandma loved her because I loved her. But she never took a ride on Lady. I couldn't fix her in time.
I have no doubt in my mind now that Burnett cucked his wife with the train. They then put Sodor, Cole, and Lady, and she finally powers up. Now, as shitty as this film is, the practical stuff's great. I love me some practical effect. Young me would have lost his shit getting to see the life-size train in person. But they take Lady on the Magic Railroad, and as she chugs along, golden flakes come off her wheels. Seems important for later.
Well, my lady, the lights are all green for you now. Green for glory.
This has got to be the most emotion Peter Fonda gave in this entire movie, and it wasn't for his own granddaughter, but a vehicle. After a little bit on the Magic Railroad, the scenery brightens and Lady's face grows back.
So, Burnett, you didn't forget about magic. It's safe inside you.
Shut the fuck up! Actually, the magic was in the coal. Bro did not do shit except shovel it into your gob. Side note though, does this basically mean that the closer you get to Sodor, like your vehicles grow faces and talk? Like imagine you're taking a boat ride past the island and then all of a sudden your boat comes to life and starts having an existential crisis because of its newfound sentience. Honestly, I think that would suck for everyone involved. But Lady, Thomas, and the other humans meet back up with Alec and Junior, who found his way back using his last bit of gold dust to escape Diesel 10. Alec, though, cannot piece together that they just brought the answer to his fucking riddle.
We won't make it back to Shining Time without the gold dust. Without it, the magic can't exist.
You waste of neurons. Burnett, Lily, Patch, a fucking dog, and Thomas just took the railroad from the other world without gold dust. You also said earlier that the lost engine would be able to take you. Here she fucking is. And your riddle mentioned that you needed Lady's help to make it. So fucking ask her. But for my sanity, I like to think that they were just about to ask Lady what she thinks about the riddle. But Diesel 10 then shows up and a chase ensues.
Lady. That engine's name is Lady. She's part of the clue to the source of the gold dust.
I wish I was watching this in VR so I could reach out and smack these two in the fucking face. So Diesel 10 chases them and they cross this old bridge that should have already been condemned by how much shit's falling off of it. But it's honestly a good thing because Diesel 10 being such a beefcake, he falls down and lands on a shit boat.
Oh well, nice time of the year for a cruise.
They then figure out that they need to mix those gold shavings Lady made on the railroad with some water, as hinted at in the riddle, to get the gold dust.
Go ahead, Lily. Throw it up in the air.
Please. Please. Now, Lily.
Oh my fucking god, just throw it.
Gold dust.
That's it. That's the end. No, I'm not bullshitting you. The rest is just everyone goes on their way and shit's exactly as it was before. The end, movie over. I need a drink. I skipped a decent amount of moments because it was just so extra. Like Alec talking to a fish while waiting for the station manager to get off the phone. They took time to do that for no other reason. We never see the fish again. We never see the station manager again. What the fuck was the point? I can actually rewatch some of the shows I watched growing up because they weren't all just mindless fun, especially OG Thomas and Friends. I'm honestly just glad to know that people who are having kids nowadays are starting to filter out the obnoxious, overstimulating crap and having them watch some good kids content, even if it means breaking out the VHS player and playing some Fraggle Rock in 2026. Honestly, that sounds like a cozy weekend in for me. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed me losing my shit over trains. As much as I painted this movie as trash, because it literally is the box office speak for itself, I still think you should watch it for yourself and form your own opinion on it. But if you like the video, then you should like the video, you know, the little thumbs up thing, because you could say you like it, but why not show me you like it so I can make more of what you like? I'm trying to please here. This is what I like to do. Hell, if you really like the video though, you should also probably subscribe so you can get alerted quicker to when I make a new one. That, you know, help the algorithm do its thing. Speaking of new ones, the next one I'm coming out with has something to do with talking dinosaurs. And I will bet you $20 right now that the one you are thinking of is wrong. Anyways, peace.